Chapter 1830 for Chernobyl. Deng Shintong was sitting on the sofa in the living room, and not far away were Fatty Sue and others. The spy Ling was as lazy as ever. She took off her shoes, put her legs in white cotton socks on the edge of the sofa, and tinkered with the electronic device in her hand. If she hadn't seen the magic of that device before, Zhang Yi would have really suspected that she was playing tricks on Fatty Sue. The hometown Deng Shintong mentioned was naturally the Deng family in Jiangnan region. As a first-class family in Huashu Kingdom, the Deng family's technological strength and intelligence network are very strong. If not, Zhang Yi would not have chosen them as partners. How to say? Zhang Yi looked out the window, and the light was still gloomy. It was already morning, and the sky should be bright, but when he looked around, it was still as dark as night. Deng Shintong said, "On the way back, I contacted my uncle and asked them to investigate the matter here. After all, according to Fremon's style of doing things, he will not provide us with information immediately. There is not much information that can be obtained so far. We know the location where the special power appears. It is very famous." Deng Shintong couldn't help but sit up straight. His eyes became sharper. Chernobyl. As soon as these words came out, everyone's expressions in the entire living room changed again and again. Chernobyl is a very famous place. The nuclear leakage crisis that broke out there in the last century can be called one of the biggest disasters in modern human history. Zhang Yi didn't know much about that place, but he had seen it in the news or short videos. Is it such a coincidence? Zhang Yi couldn't help curling his lips, and then he smiled and said, "I don't believe it." Ling reminded from the side, "The machine you named, A, is also nearby." Fatty Sue slammed his palms. "That's right. This matter must be a conspiracy caused by the mechanical intelligence." Zhang Yi curled his lips. "Thank you, Comrade Su Chunlei. If you hadn't said it, we would still be in the dark." Fatty Sue scratched the back of his head with a smile. "Everything. This is what I should do." Everyone rolled their eyes, but didn't bother to complain about him. At this time, Yang Xinxin and Lu Karen were in the shadow space, studying the newly acquired Platos and Carib bodies. Obviously, the technology on them is more advanced. Moreover, Lu Karen also wanted to study the dark room found underground. In short, after encountering mechanical civilization, you will find that it is an extremely huge treasure. There are too many advanced technologies to learn, and there is too much mysterious and unknown information to explore. This made Lu Karen and Yang Xinxin, as academic masters, feel like they had found a treasure. They were immersed in it every day, and even felt like they forgot to eat and sleep. Zhang Yi understands this behavior. When he was a warehouse manager, he found more than a dozen boxes of expensive foreign wine when taking inventory, so he happily shared it with his brothers. It was also a refreshing feeling. That is to say, Zhang Yi sat down on the sofa in the middle, tapping the armrest with his fingers, and said slowly, "Chernobyl is a very special place. And if you think about it, the event that shocked the world back then, the big explosion, was not a simple nuclear leak. There was another reason." Deng Shintong spread his hands and said, "There are too many mysterious events that happened in this area. As early as a century and a half ago, the Tunguska explosion that occurred in Fremons is also an unsolved mystery. After all, in the early 20th century, doomsday weapons like Death of Love had not yet been produced. But considering the current situation, it would be much more reasonable if there was a stronger underground force to promote it." Zhang Yi slowly closed his eyes. The situation was unclear and the news channels were very limited, so he couldn't express too many opinions. After a while, he opened his eyes and looked at Ling, who was sitting aside as if nothing had happened. He couldn't help but ask, "Sister Ling, do you have an opinion on this matter? I mean, do you have any information to provide?" Ling turned her gaze from the instrument to Zhang Yi, but said lightly, "If you want to know what's there, why don't you just go and take a look? It's the time anyway, so you can't give up halfway." This sentence made Zhang Yi couldn't help laughing. Yes, that's right. The war between them and the mechanical civilization has been difficult to resolve peacefully. After all, a large number of demonic machines have been destroyed by them. Even if they don't destroy the machine civilization, sooner or later they will come to take revenge. Zhang Yi felt a little uneasy in his heart. After thinking for a long time, he suddenly stood up. "You guys wait for me here for a while, I'll go out." After saying that, Zhang Yi opened the dimensional door and disappeared directly in front of everyone. No one knew what Zhang Yi was doing. It was almost 10 minutes before he returned here, then leaned on the sofa and picked up the coffee at hand. "Next, let's wait for the information from Fremons." Yang Xia came over with a smile, took the coffee cup from Zhang Yi's hand, and gave him another hot cup. "Thanks." Zhang Yi smiled gently at her. Soon after, Zhang Yi received messages and video call requests from many people. They are all from various regions of Huashu Kingdom. They also wanted to know what happened to Fremons, and when asked by them, Zhang Yi frankly said that he didn't know. Now Fremons has attracted the attention of the whole world, and this sudden change has attracted the attention of all forces. Zhang Yi didn't say anything. He rested quietly while waiting for other forces to react. Fremons, especially, should be the ones who need to solve this problem the most. Other teams from the subsequent expedition are also returning. Although there was no damage, in the end most of the expedition team successfully completed their mission and came back. After all, this time, almost all the top aliens in the world were gathered, and people from various countries and organizations were sent. Except for the full-scale formations of several countries, the remaining large organizations have successfully defeated the mechanical legions targeted by their missions. And these news will be reported in real time in their chat group. Asgard of the Europa League, Knights of the Round Table of Britannia, Knights Templar of the Sovereign Holy See, Dragon Tribes of Bharat, Emperor Saladin of the Khotan Empire, Shadow Demon Legion, all achieved great results on the battlefield. However, among these forces, the most dazzling existence is naturally the alien army of Huashu Kingdom led by Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi first defeated demon god Si on his own, and then rushed thousands of miles without taking any rest, not only rescuing the members of Fremons' Palace of the Temples, but also killed demon god Armor Platos, and a high-ranking demon god who is not registered. Such brilliant results deeply shocked the other Iran teams who were still proud of themselves. On the side of the Knights of the Round Table, King Arthur, who heard the news, propped up his chin with his hands, his eyes dark, and he didn't know what he was thinking about. Chaos. His strength seems to be stronger than imagined. Beside him, Merlin, who had long silver-gray hair, comforted him. "King, he is different from you. You killed a high-ranking demon god alone, but he relied on the strength of the entire team." He spread his hands and said, "And the elimination of demon god B was the result of his joining forces with the pantheon of gods. It cannot be attributed to him alone." When King Arthur heard this, a bright color appeared in his eyes, but he still sat up straight and said in a deep voice, "It must be admitted that he is very strong. No matter what method he uses, being able to achieve such brilliant results shows that he has the ability, qualified to be my opponent." At this point, he suddenly laughed. "Maybe in the not-too-distant future, you will become someone who follows me and fights alongside me. You know, his power is very useful." Merlin also smiled lightly. "It is true that a top space power user will provide us with convenience in various environments." King Arthur thought for a while and asked, "How is the investigation of the situation at Chernobyl going?" Merlin shook his head. "I don't have any clue. It seems that I can wait for the results from Fremons." Everyone is awaiting the results of Fremons' investigation. A big battle has just ended, and all the alien troops are taking a break. But Fremons is also in a state of distress, because they have no way of knowing what happened at Chernobyl. The three heads of the temple were also resting at this time. They knew that a large number of mechanical life forms gathered near Chernobyl. Their investigation team was far enough away to watch, unable to get close. What on earth exists in that damn place? The three administrative heads of Fremons sat together, with worried expressions written on their faces. Seeing that all the mechanical legions had been cleared, the situation at Chernobyl worried them. Aliev smoked his pipe, and after thinking for a long time, he glanced at them and said, "No one knows what exactly happened in that place back then, because in an instant, the entire nuclear power plant had an inexplicable accident and was directly destroyed. No useful information was retained, Vladimir crossed his hands on the table, but we don't want to continue waiting like this. We have to do something. There is a faint feeling of uneasiness in my heart. Even now, the war situation seems to be completely tilted in our direction, but I always feel that things will not end so easily. Yes, they are anxious because everything ends too easily. Although this battle brought together almost all the top forces in the world today, as well as more than half of the top aliens. But they have learned about previous wars between humans and underground civilization. Especially the battle between Huashu Kingdom and Wulwan Empire can be said to be shocking. When the most powerful person in ancient civilization appeared, the power he displayed was enough to plunge the whole world into silence. The threat displayed by mechanical civilization is higher than that of the Wulwan Empire. Pataka frowned and sat aside. In one moment, he issued many orders, asking his men to do everything possible to obtain information. The mechanical civilization's blockade of that area is too tight, making it difficult to get close at all. He slowly said, "Currently, the number of mechanical life forms discovered near Chernobyl exceeds 100,000. And among the 10 demon gods, the most powerful demon god armor is there. We can't tell whether the mechanical civilization has more high-level demon bodies." There was silence in the air for a moment. Not long after, Eli suddenly slammed his fist on the table. "At this point, we have no better way. Why not gather all the alien troops and kill them? Things always need to be decided." Pataka looked at him. "When you don't know the specific information about the target area, are you going to go there with all your might?" He felt that this was not a good idea and was very irrational. Eli looked at Pataka. "Time is not on our side. Although I don't know what happened in Chernobyl, the mechanical civilization must have had a huge plan during its operation in Fremons for more than half a year. At present, it seems that they can succeed very quickly. Just think about the consequences. We destroy how many of their mechanical life forms they have. If they succeed in realizing their wishes, they will turn around and deal with us. Can we afford such consequences?" Pataka took a deep breath. "Fremons really can't afford it. If we don't take this opportunity of many alien troops from around the world gathering here, we can solve the crisis caused by mechanical civilization in one fell swoop." He was very convinced that even if only 1/10 of the power of mechanical civilization was left, Fremons could be completely wiped off the planet. He nodded. "Okay, I'll call together the leaders of the alien teams from each country. To do this, you must seek everyone's opinions. Because he knows that there will be risks in doing so, and no one can say how big the risks are." It was another day after Zhang Yi came back from the ruins of Karen City. They received a summons message from Padaga, asking the leaders of the alien teams from various countries to gather at the command center. Zhang Yi walked to the bed and took a look in the direction of Chernobyl. The long black beam of light in the sky still existed. For some reason, Zhang Yi felt that it was like a key, opening a mysterious and ancient door. Judging from the excavation operations of mechanical civilization, they are indeed looking for something. Chernobyl, is there anything they're looking for? A flash of light flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes, but the light soon disappeared. He shook his head and gave up the unrealistic thoughts in his mind. The value of something that can make a mechanical civilization go to such great lengths to find it must be inestimable. Therefore, Chernobyl must be guarded by the most powerful armed forces of mechanical civilization. Now, with his strength, it is unimaginable to defeat Demon God B one-on-one. If you worry about that kind of thing, the risk will definitely be high. Let's wait and see first. When there is no information, this is all we can do. Zhang Yi took everyone to the meeting, and everyone hid in his shadow and would not be discovered. Yang Xinxin's brain is something he needs very much, which can reduce the trouble of thinking. After traveling through several spaces, Zhang Yi arrived at the command center. When he was at the gate, he happened to meet the emperor of the Khotan Empire, Saladin, who was wearing a solemn black robe and noble jewelry made of gold. The temperament of a person is as dazzling as the stars in the dark night. It only takes a moment for Zhang Yi to feel that this person is extraordinary. There was no expression on Saladin's face, but there was a natural domineering and calm look on his face. This comes from the mentality of being calm and calm in all situations, which has been honed through many battles, and the fearlessness of all situations. Zhang Yi glanced at Saladin, who was sizing up Zhang Yi. Both of them were secretly frightened. Zhang Yi felt that this man was incomprehensible at first glance and was really powerful. Otherwise, how could he rise from the Middle East and become the emperor of a country that controlled a huge empire and could compete with the European powers? When Saladin saw Zhang Yi, his pupils couldn't help but shrink slightly. Not only has he never seen strong people, but after coming to Fremons, he has also dealt with many powerful strangers around the world. This is the first time I have been so close to Zhang Yi. The reason why he was shocked was because Zhang Yi looked too ordinary. Although Zhang Yi, in his own opinion, is very handsome, foreigners' aesthetics cannot tell this, not to mention that handsome appearance is not something that strong men care about. Some may even have the opposite effect of being too handsome, making people feel that they are not useful. From Zhang Yi's body, Saladin did not feel any aura that could be called powerful. Arrogance, self-confidence. Arrogance, the indifference of superiors to everything. Zhang Yi didn't feel anything like this at all. If he didn't know Zhang Yi and threw him into a crowd, he might not be as conspicuous as a well-trained special soldier. However, it was this feeling that shocked the leader of the assassin sect. What a scary man, Saladin said in his heart. He came over and greeted Zhang Yi very politely. The famous chaos. I heard about your glorious achievements. You are a true warrior. Zhang Yi smiled slightly when he saw Saladin approaching and instinctively lowered his hands to his sides. The master of assassination, the leader of the assassin sect, knew that the opponent basically could not attack him here, but out of his long-standing habit, he still kept his body in a position to be able to defend, escape, and finally counterattack at any time.
State.
This action did not escape Saladin's eyes. Instead of making him feel offended, he admired Zhang Yi even more. Sure enough, the rumors are true. He is an extremely cautious man. Only such a strong man can achieve brilliant victories again and again on the battlefield. Zhang Yi smiled and nodded. I remember you, Your Excellency Saladin, and I am honored to fight side by side with you on this battlefield. The two kept a certain distance between them and then walked side by side towards the command center. The staff on the roadside bowed and saluted, and then guided them on the way. What do you think about the Chernobyl incident? A smile appeared on Saladin's face. He had a dark face and a big beard on his skinny, goshawk-like face, so his smile was a little forced. Zhang Yi smiled faintly. I don't have any opinion. I can't get any information. I can only wait for Fremons. Saladin said very sincerely. After the end of the world, there are not many wars between humans and underground civilization. This is the second time for a large-scale war. So when it comes to understanding underground civilization, Your Excellency far surpasses us. I hope you can give me some advice. Saladin felt that Zhang Yi was hiding his clumsiness. Zhang Yi has no choice. He really doesn't know anything. I really don't have any relevant information. If it's not, I can only tell you my conjecture. Now that they are allies fighting together, there are some things they can talk about. I think they are looking for something, and that thing is most likely in Chernobyl. Zhang Yi looked at Saladin with a smile. What do you think? Saladin nodded seriously. I think so. Judging from their behavior, this is the inference closest to the truth. In other words, Zhang Yi only said things that everyone could guess. Zhang Yi continued. Moreover, the behavior of mechanical civilization is very weird. From the beginning, they were indifferent to the existence of humans and did not take the initiative to kill human cities. Later on, just some time ago, they suddenly began to declare war on a large scale against mankind. Zhang Yi suddenly smiled brightly. Isn't this very interesting? Saladin's expression became much more serious. What do you mean, Your Excellency? What they are looking for is related to humans. Zhang Yi stopped smiling and frowned. It definitely has something to do with it. The vast majority of mechanical civilizations are mechanical life forms, and only a few retain the characteristics of biological organisms. What they need may be different from carbon-based organisms. Saladin nodded. Actually, I have been thinking that human beings have always been developing technology and want to achieve immortality through technology. Then, by transforming yourself into a mechanical life form, you don't need to worry about body damage, old age, and death.
But
He took a deep breath, and the two of them turned a corner and continued moving forward. The light in the passage became darker. If is the emotion and instinct of a flesh and blood creature, and is pain and death, then can a human being still be called a human being? He looked at Zhang Yi, with a smile on his face again. I will think about it. If I become a being like them, will I enjoy endless years of life, or will I self-destruct due to constant collapse? Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows. Who knows? After all, the human lifespan is only 100 years at most, and there is birth, old age, illness, and death. The two of them shook their heads, but they were thinking about it secretly in their hearts. If you are a member of mechanical civilization, what kind of desire will you have if you are immortalized by machinery? The two chatted one after another, and soon arrived at the conference room. The two officers guarding the door opened the door for them respectfully, and Zhang Yi and Saladin walked side by side into the conference room. At this time, half of the people inside were left and right.